What's going on, people? It's Mr. Dog back again with the part two of the Forest Deduction Points. If you are new to my channel, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and comment below, people. How are you feeling? Have you calmed down about the appeal or not? Get involved now as well. This guy's here next to me, but it's actually doing his run as well, people. So if you do want to do any donations to his run, he's just done a 10-mile run, but I've got no sympathy from at all. So if you can, people, please support Des to his run. Right, let's get the panel in. I've always introduced to him, so I might as well get him out of the way first. Des, how you doing, Des, from your run?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. I just did a good. Really enjoyed it. Sometimes I don't. Most of the time I don't. Sometimes I do. So it's putting me in better spirits doing that rather than thinking about FFP. And then you have to talk about it again.
Oh, Des. And before I do, people, I've got a beef with Des, so we are going to talk about it because we're a little bit of Facebook beef. He wasn't happy with me, so we are going to talk about it. So yeah. Next up, got the man himself, Glenn. How you doing, Glenn?
Yeah, right. Lots of mixed feelings over the last 24 hours. I think since the announcement, I think I'm erring on the side of we wanted to know. We now know. We've got a foundation now to move on from. There's other things potentially going to happen in terms of appeals or other clubs around us having points or not. I think it's just a situation. It's good. We'll talk about this tonight, no doubt. That we know now where we are. It's a situation that the players and the fans and the leadership and management have all been waiting for. So, let's now we know what we've got. We're unlikely to get any more. If we get any back, that's ideal. But we got to start winning, haven't we? So let's. Looking forward to that very much tonight.
100%. And last but not least, why I am such a boo-boo head, because this guy is all the way in Thailand, and it's 3 a.m. He got up and he said, "Yes, Ben, do it. Come on, 3 a.m. in the morning. Where are you, Axel? Thailand, isn't it?"
Yes, in Koh Lipil Island.
Wow. So please show some love to Axel, not Des or Glenn. Show all the love to Axel, because I could never do a wake up. I love my sleep, and come all the way. It was already in Thailand. So please, in the chat, please show some love to Axel. Axel, tell everyone about yourself and how long you've been supporting Forest.
Well, I've been supporting Forest for the last about 11 years. About 11 years since I've been the up and downs. I'm not a red in blood myself, but I follow it through thick and thin. Happy where we are now, despite everything. And about the subject we're talking, I think I'm a bit more feeling like Len, mixed feelings. But I think the best thing is that we already know where we are, because that was the worst thing. Like, are we gonna get 4? Are we gonna get 8? Are we gonna get, like, when Everton got 10, then they got 6? But I was like really doubt where we're gonna be. So that's the important thing. It was 4 points. That's it. Now let's move on. But yeah, great to be back, lads. Thanks for having me.
3 a.m. people, I couldn't do it.
Right.
Glenn, could you do it, Glenn? Oh, Des, 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, easy.
What?
You always liars. I'm not gonna lie. Remember, I work really hard for 39 weeks a year, and then I get 13 weeks off. So I could definitely do it in the week beginning the 29th of March. No problem.
Right, people in the chat, do you think you can wake up 3 a.m. to do a podcast? Me, I could never do it. I love my sleep. So these two are old guys. There's not a chance these two will do it. Right, so people, like I said, please show some love to Des, Axel, and Glenn as well. And I said, make sure everyone supports Des' run. It's like I said, he's just come from a run. The link's at the top. How much you on Des? How much are you raising for, Des? Let me just double check.
It's actually a team effort of 1,600 quid. So
amazing.
Okay, so that's amazing as well, people. The target is £3,000. So it is building. So if you can do anything.
Big thanks to Glenn. He always gets behind it, and Radstad donated after the last time we came on as well. So
Oh,
big
legend.
thanks to Radstad.
You're legend. But like I said before, if you can, score support Des. Right, let's talk about it. Like I said, it happened yesterday. This is part 2. If you want to watch yesterday's show, watch it afterwards. Who should we start with? Let's start with Des wasn't happy with me. And let me put in context why he wasn't happy with me. Because me and Glenn was working. I kept checking my phone. I saw the 4 points, but I didn't read it, all of it. And this guy came for me. Why am I happy with 4 points? And this guy wasn't happy with me. Go on, Des. Why are you not happy with the 4 points?
So you actually want me to put it into context?
Yeah, go on. You put it in context. Why you wasn't happy with me? Go on.
No, I wasn't not happy with you. It
You
wasn't a
want?
dig. It wasn't a dig at you. As you've seen, I put something on my own Facebook. The reality of the whole situation for me, and I get how the rules are rubbish. You know, FFP is crap. The Premier League are corrupt. All these things. You know, I'm there. I'm totally on board with all of that. But we shouldn't be accepting any points. It shouldn't be happening. It's as simple as that. And what really sort of frustrates me at the moment is how easy football fans accept this happening at their club. Not just Forest fans. I'm not just digging at Forest fans, but it's almost like, oh yeah, we're happy with 4 points. No, we're not. Because we go and support that team week in, week out in the hope of gaining points. And I look at the Newcastle game, for example, where we travelled, it means nothing. I got absolute pelters after the Liverpool game, right? Fair enough, people disagreed with me. We lost that game. We lost 3 points because of and there was uproar because the referee made a decision which people thought led to a goal. I don't buy into that. But what has happened behind the scenes has cost Forest more than that Liverpool game. 4 points. The implications of what has happened behind the scenes, and I know Forest have to compete, and I know they spent money, and I know there's mitigation, but at the end of the day, the rules are the rules, and in my opinion, my club should be ran better than that. I get it's becoming part of football. I'm not naive to that fact, but I don't think fans should be saying, "Oh, I'm happy," and I'm not digging at you right now. I'm
You
talking.
are right. Let me see it.
No,
Wait.
listen.
Right.
I
Let's see.
see.
Wait. Let's see this comment. This is from This is from Dez's wife. He was calling you all sorts. Go on. Go on. Respond to that.
She's just stirring the pot. She's got the dog and she's steering the pot. The reality, no, I was just fuming with everybody, sort of saying, "Oh yeah, well, I'm glad we've only got 4 points." No, we support them. We've supported them long enough for this not to be happening. And again, these people who are in charge of the club, they're there to do a job. They're there to look after it to some degree. Yes, because Mr. Marinakis is there, he's done a phenomenal job. He's put us back where we are today. His money has put us where we are, and I appreciate that, and we can't thank him enough. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of money wasted. A lot of money wasted, which on players that have never played for the club. And it seems to be forgotten about. And I just think to support in the way we do, and then to see points. I've said to you over the last 3 or 4 years I've been doing this store, when people are talking about CEOs, Dave Murphy this, Dave Murphy that, I'm not interested what goes on behind the scenes. Not really. And I know I'm here talking, I'm expressing my feelings. I wish I'd never said anything, to be honest, about FFP, because people have asked me to comment on it since. So, of course, I love talking about Forest, but the reality is, to some degree, it's not our business, but it is our business. What happens in the administration behind the scenes when they take 4 points off us and we fall into a relegation zone? Because what's the point me going to Newcastle and getting those and watching Forest get those 3 points for him to be stripped away? Am I going to get refunded? I don't think so. So again, the fan. The biggest loser in all of this is the fan, because this could cost us our Premier League status, and we know over the last 23 years how hard it is to get back and how low we've gone. It's not as simple. as coming back up sometimes, and yes, the gap's getting bigger, and it is getting a bit easier for teams to come back up in all reality. But this could cost us a status, and it could cost us a lot of it could cost us our dreams and aspirations if we're getting a bit silly about it. And that's why we stuck around for so long. I supported Forest when they were last in the Premier League. I supported Forest in League One. I'm not going anywhere. Do you know? And it doesn't matter whether we get 4 points took off or we get relegated in genuine circumstances. I'm not going anywhere. I love the club and I love what it's all about. But I think the contempt by not the fans as such, but the contempt in the fact that the fans are saying, "Oh, this is okay. Do you know, this is not too bad." No, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. And that's where I'm coming from. That's not the angle. I'm not trying to dig out fans. I think people thought I was trying to dig out, like you thought I was trying to dig out you and trying to dig out the fans. It's the fans saying, "Oh,
He was
4
digging
points is
out me,
okay."
people.
No, honestly, it is not okay for any football club, whether it's Forest, Everton, Chelsea, whoever, because it is always the fans, isn't it? It's always the fans. I've got ideas how I'd like FFP to work and how it's worked, and I'm sure we'll come on to that later. But in response to your point, it's not acceptable to say we have points taken off us when people put a lot of time and effort in, and it's not just about fans. You know, there's players who I feel at times have not been as committed as they should be. You know, I've raised questions about that kind of thing, and to see those kind of things happening within the football club, you know, really as somebody who has supported them for a long time, who can take losing. You know, like I said, we're there in League One, we're there at Chester and Yeovil and all them places that get reeled out when we're talking about the low times. And I was there, you know, I was at the games. It's not a matter. It's not a thing about losing or getting beat or getting down to it. It's just the fact it shouldn't happen. It's as simple as that.
100%. And look, it's fair. Like Des digged me out. He did. I'm putting for a friend Des on the box. Like I said, when I went up in Denver, say this. Well, we didn't know. I didn't know the in and out. All I see was 4 points. And I thought, oh, I was happy about it. But when you look at it, like if the what happened in the court, it's frustration and understand what Daz is saying. It is very hard. And to this point, and if people have seen the Forest statement as well, it was very, very strong, and I get it 100%. Right, next up, let's get Glenn. What's your thoughts and feelings about it? And are you in the same boat with Des?
I am. I think the decision has been made, and you know, I've seen lots of comments. Hence why, Axel, I was saying to you, I'm glad you agree that, you know, when you weigh things up, you go, it could be really bad. It shouldn't be any at all. It's totally 100% hear what you're saying, but it has happened, and the points deduction that we have had is something that we've got to deal with, isn't it? Something we've got to move on from. The reassurance that some of us have had in terms of, wow, we could have got really hit there, and that's you know, we're only now a point and 2 or 3 goals better off from where we were in terms of losing to Luton. So we got a situation now where we're 1 point behind them, 2 points, two goals better. Is that right? 2 goal difference better than Luton, and a point behind. With a situation where it's really interesting. I'm reading more and more and more about this, far more than I thought I knew prior to the announcement yesterday afternoon. I spent a bit of time last night, a bit of time this morning reading through it. It's really interesting. The slant that some are saying about the fact that we were last season the only team in the Premier League that didn't either have founding status and have been in it for, 35 years? Have had parachute payments as a result of dropping out and coming back in. We're the only team that has had that completely blank slate. Our total squad value in 2022, Dor, do you know what it was? When we were promoted, it was 15 million.
Was it? 50? Wow.
Total value of the squad in 2022.
Yeah, 15 million. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
So we're in a situation where we're always playing catch up, and the the reasons I've been looking through a couple of sources, and the reasons why we overstretched, there's numerous reasons in terms of needing to invest more from the owner, who was desperate to do it while we're in the Championship and couldn't. The large losses in terms of defeats against Arsenal away and City away, and wanting to try and at least put ourselves in a position where we could compete. The poor start to the season that ended up having Navas, my old mate Navas over here, coming in, Felipe coming in. The poor recruitment, which no doubt was part and parcel of the number of players that we brought in. 152 million on 22 players. And the will to make a new. We were all in the market square. We all recall, don't we, what Marinakis was saying about wanting to redefine the team, develop this new history. And all of that, I feel, is part of the reason why they overstretched. It was really interesting what Dylan was saying last night on your podcast, Dore. I think that there must have been a reason why someone wasn't tapping someone over the shoulder and going, those figures don't add up. I think Dylan hit the nail on the head there. Whether there's a culture in the club of not whistleblowing, not flagging things up, sticking your fingers in your ears, not the way Morgs does, obviously, sticking your fingers in your ears and just going, la, 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 it'll be all right.
Glenn, have you seen the Athletic article today?
I haven't, no.
There's a report from Daniel Taylor that the finance guy was reporting back the potential of going into FFP.
Who was that, Des? Do you know who it was? Do you know who it was?
I can't. It might have been Tom somebody. I can't remember the name, but
people in the chat. Do you know if you read that letter from Daniel Taylor? People in the chat might know. I might know as well. I don't know.
So,
but,
the culture was that there wasn't necessarily that handbrake, if you like, because of the will to want to make it a success in such a short amount of time. Now, that's the saddening thing for me. You know, we were all, weren't we, on here talking about another signing, Dore? And you're right, there's the number of them that have not even pulled a shirt on.
The report in the Athletic then basically centres around last January. We wasn't in a position to spend money, and again they went and spent lots of money. We know why they did it. We know the to stay up basically, but they was not in a position to spend money. They needed to recoup money, and the reality was they went and spent a lot of money again. I think there was about seven signings in January, weren't there?
Yeah,
and real high earners as well. You pay over the odds for wages at that time of the year, and I think that's what it kind of centres around, in the fact that the club weren't listening and went out and signed further players.
Wow. Yeah. If someone can send me the link, I want to read it. But I'm sorry, Glenn. Go on.
I think what it boils down to, Dore, I think it's going to be really scrappy at the end of the season, isn't it? And that's my real concern, that there's lots and lots of fans who are investing lots and lots of money and lots of time, lots of energy in ending a season, knowing exactly where they are and having it all decided on the final game of the season. And having that situation where we're hosting, we're away at, where's the final game?
Burnley. Yeah.
And they're having that party atmosphere with the inflatables and balls and balloons and stuff and singing the Waka Waka, and we're the ones that are going to be in that situation. I don't want that to be the case. You know, we can't have that situation. So I got to know as soon as possible. I think Molo was speaking really, really candidly last night and really clear about the desire to know what's going on and whether the appeal is going to happen or not. I don't know whether it's a particularly sensible thing to do. But I think ultimately it comes down to, doesn't it, performance on the pitch, results being sorted out. I did listen to Des and Dave on a certain podcast yesterday, and they were talking about the need to reduce the 21 points from winning positions. Is that right, Des?
Yeah. That
can't happen if we're going to continue to stay up. So there's something that's going to happen. So overall, it's not an ideal situation at all. 4 is the best situation it could be, beyond having none at all. I think it's a matter of just turning around now, getting everybody in one direction, getting that pull that we all had when we had all those players behind the players, in their regular players, the injured players, everybody getting involved, the Jesse Lingard pulling everybody together. We haven't got that, it appears, this season yet. And I think that's something that the squad need to get together with. The sooner they do that, the more they'll pull that team together. I wouldn't be surprised if the squad found out yesterday together. And that's obviously, I'd like to think that the leaders in that dressing room, they're going to start pull those players around and start getting them all working together. I think sometimes this season, the international break has fallen at a bad time, hasn't it? When we've had a really good run. This is a situation where we need to really get ourselves sorted and start hitting the ground running against Crystal Palace and beyond. We need something out of them games quickly.
100%.
Yeah.
Right, let's get Axel in. Like I said, people, if you just come to the chat, it's free. It's about 3:30 in Thailand, and he is. Like I said, thank you very much, Axel, for waking up. I couldn't do it. So people in the chat, please show some love to Axel for waking up and doing his podcast. I'm just pleased with it. I do appreciate it a lot. But Axel, like Des and Glenn just said, what's your opinion about the whole situation with the 3 points, 4 points deduction and everything?
4 points.
Yeah.
Let's hope there were 3. Yeah, I think I'm already like also in Glenn's side. I really loved this sort of almost motivational speech. I would get Des in a suit and send him to play.
Axel, don't give him some praise. Don't give him praise, please. No. We're only giving praise to you and Glenn, not him.
But yeah, I think 4 points was quite merciful, and I was afraid of maybe getting 6. And you might say there's not a lot of difference between 4 and 6, but the way we've been playing and the points we're getting, I think there's a huge difference. And you see the table, and we're just 1 point long Luton, and I think we can make it. It's even not just about winning; it's just not being like worse than Luton at this point. Just getting the points, whatever we can. And another thing, it's for me, it's almost like hearing this talking about the January transfers, how they did it, just like make us stay up, and now that same thing might send us down. It's like so ironical, and so I'm so perplexed. No one touch someone else's shoulder and be like the figures don't add up. I'm also like wondering. I want to ask you guys like how I want to ask. I'm all the way here, and I don't know how has the relationship between the Forest fan and Marinakis changed during this time, and how you guys feel Marinakis after the points have been deducted. Do you feel something towards Marinakis despite all this, or
you want someone else to answer? I don't think
Yes.
this is part of my problem, Axel. I don't think the fans kind of. I don't think the relationship's changed at all. I think we all appreciate what Mr. Marinakis has done for the club, and it is because of him where we are today, and ambition, and obviously Steve Cooper and a winning football team that season, and it all sort of becoming a bit of a miracle in the end. But he's the leader of the club. He has to take the rough with the smooth. So I do praise him for all the good, but I just and I don't want to really sort of go in on him per se, because it's not. And I know he is the leader, but the reality is, when you look at FFP as a whole, and Man City and Everton and teams getting points deducted, because I'm going to contradict myself slightly. I am actually kind of satisfied with 4 points, because I thought it could be worse. I'm not happy.
yeah?
I'm definitely not happy, because I don't think we should be happy as fans, as I've made my point quite clear. I think the issue, the thing is, if the only way to punish teams is for the league to hit them hard like this, because it's going to keep happening and happening. And what's happened so far, over years, obviously Man City are the classic example. They just get away with it and they push the boundaries as far as they can, to the point where now the Premier League have had to start acting. Again, I'll reiterate, their rules are not right. They've got it all wrong. The way they penalise promoter clubs and don't allow teams to spend the money they've actually got is not the point. It's supposed to protect teams with no money. But, and I do agree to some extent that teams, they have to penalise on a points basis. There's no point hitting teams with a fine because they're spending money anyway. If you hit them with a big fine, they've got the money. I look at someone like Newcastle. They could spend more money than every club put together. They're the richest club in the world by an absolute mile, but they can't compete because they can't catch up. Because they're working to different rules than Man City. Because Man City have had all these years to build their team and spend lots of money and build sports zones and develop Manchester in a way by spending money which generates money. So what they're doing is stopping teams, and somehow you've got to protect the clubs and what's going on. So I do actually agree with a points deduction, because the only way the owners are going to stop doing it and breaking the rules, even though the rules are not right, is when the fans turn on the owners. And ultimately, if teams keep getting points deducted for FFP, fans will turn on owners, and they won't be happy. Imagine if you was an Everton fan getting a 6-point deduction and then getting another. I don't know what they're going to get, but if they got another 6-point deduction, do you know? I'm moaning that we've had 4. Imagine having 12 points taken off you, 4 wins. Do you know? And when I talk about these wins, I'm going back to the pure emotion at Newcastle when I lost my shit. You know, it was one of the best days ever. In the end, you know, Boxing Day, we weren't looking forward to it. We was in poor form. We went and won. And to rip all that pure emotion out of what we do, you know, I'm not moaning about the money. The money is the money. I can't afford it half the time, but I still go. You know, and it is what it is. But I think what I know what you're saying, Axel. Has anything changed? No. And I'm not wanting it to change because I want an harmonious football club. But ultimately, it does come back to the people running the football club to make sure that this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen again, you know. And if we have to fight the rules, if all the clubs at the bottom of the Premier League have to fight to make sure the rules are right next time and they can be on a level playing field, then every club's got to muck in together and fight the top 6. Do you know? But the Premier League are scared again, aren't they? The Premier League are petrified of the top 6 leaving. So again, they get to work with within different parameters. For Forest to be able to spend 60 million and Man City to be able to spend 300 or whatever the numbers are, it's something like that. Sorry, I've got a dog trying to bite my hand. For that's just not fair, is it? That's the integrity of the league gone. From the very first kick of a ball, you've not got a level playing field of a competition. You then take points off, which, as I said, has to happen to some degree. But you have, if these things happen in August, these accounts are posted in August, we should know by mid-September what's happening. You know, again, I don't want teams to lose points. I really don't. But I can see why they lose points, because it's the only way to hit the teams and to get the owners acting upon it. Because otherwise the Man Cities will just pay the fines. For me, and I've heard 1 or 2 murmurings, Man City should be chucked out of the Premier League, because that would set a precedent. It's happened in other leagues. You know, it's
Rangers
happened in
and
Italy.
Rangers as well.
Yeah.
Juventus.
So there should be something done to set that kind of precedent where teams go, oh shit, we can't do that anymore, and owners go, well, the fans aren't going to do that, because ultimately, if we do get relegated because of this, there will be some backlash, because the City ground will be 23,000 if we don't start very well next year. So the club will suffer ultimately, you know, we might come back, we might get relegated, and we might come back, and it might be the best thing all round after the first experience. But until something's done about not getting to that position in the first place, then we're all in a mess, aren't we? We're all struggling because it's just ruining the league. 4 points off. You know what really infuriates me about the points is we would probably have stayed up, even though I've got reservations. We would probably stay up with those 4 points because Luton and Burnley and Sheffield United have been that bad. You know, Luton are improving, and we're not, as it seems. But we'd have gone to Sheffield United and Burnley, and they would have had nothing to play for. So, and I've said this in lots of places. In many ways, it's made the league a lot more competitive. But 2 wrongs don't make a right. And the reality is, the worst team in the league, the worst 3 teams in the league should get relegated, whether they're competitive or not. So when we go to Burnley and Sheffield United, it should be a case that because sometimes on a football pitch, a fluke of time helps you, whether it's an injury or you play a team at a certain time. But for something to determine off the pitch how Burnley will now approach that game, how Sheffield United might approach that game because they've got a chance, they should be long gone. They should have been. We should be going to those places, and you'd really fancy Forest needing a result if they was already relegated to go there and get 6 points on the board and come away and think, well, that's enough. You know, I think another 2 wins would have probably kept us up anyway. But the reality is, now we go there, and Burnley are going to be fighting for their life. It could be a 6-pointer. You know, it could be. And Sheffield United, we know how tough that's going to be anyway. They love playing Forest and up in the game, but it could have been a dead rubber, and it could have been points, and it shouldn't be because of FFP that now they've got a chance to stay in the Premier League.
100%, 100%. I'm going to go through the comments and said people agree with you with Tim Dino. Well done, Ted. Ted, is Stanley okay? Does he want to come on the stream?
It's driving me insane. Hey, come and get this dog.
Well, I was just seeing some comments, and I saw where's Gordon's comment about Axel. Is Axel Abdul in disguise? You've been called Abdul, and
Yeah, I remember Abdul.
it's called Glenn Steve Stone. Gordon, what about me? Say something nice about me and Glenn. Please be nice. Or don't say something wrong, please. Glenn, do you echo what Des says? Or what?
I do. I think the fans' relationship with the owner has always been a really tricky one, hasn't it? I think they all appreciate, like you said, Des, they all appreciate what he's done, the money he's investing, the time he's spending, the way he's trying to get this club working in the right direction, particularly on the basis of the feedback from the previous owner and what he no doubt inherited from that situation, which was pretty dire, wasn't it? So the fans' relationship with the owner and the owner's group is, I think, generally quite positive. I hear what you're saying, Dor, about yesterday. I think some of the blame has to be put on his desk in terms of the situation we're in and how it happened and why it's happened. But I don't think the continuation of the investment and the support and everything else to develop the stadium and everything else that they're trying to do to increase our competitiveness is necessarily something that we need to be an Everton fan base about, in terms of lots and lots of criticism and that sort of stuff isn't necessarily in our situation. I don't think our club's anywhere near the best run club in the Premier League. I think the opposition we had recently is probably one of the best in terms of Brighton, etc. But the way that we're being run has to improve, and this has to be a situation where it gets everybody thinking a little bit more about it. I think, Des, what you were saying is absolutely spot on. There's a situation that we're a little bit of a scapegoat. Us and Everton are now the first 2 teams that have been penalised in this situation, and I think the Premier League have still got I'm not in the corrupt camp at all about the Premier League. I think the Premier League need a regulator, and I think they were putting their big boy pants on a little bit and trying to prove to the government that they didn't need a regulator. And obviously they do. They need a situation where they've got someone regulating the league as an independent, and that has to be something they sort out off the back of this. Hence what I was joking with you, Dor, before we came on, the 3 for breaching, the 3 for the significance, roll a dice, add them together and let's pick a random number, and let's start with a high option of 8 and let's work through the situation where we get down to 4. That's just a nonsense. It's nonsense. The very clear situation is they've obviously gone with 2 of the newbies or the teams that are there or thereabouts in a situation where I feel the general support of football fans in terms of going, Forest, they've done this, they've done that, they tried to do this, they started with that amount of players and they overspent and they overstretched. But I kind of understand the situation they've tried to pull themselves out. I think the statement has divided a few of the fans. I think that it's a very bold statement in terms of what we're trying to do, in terms of being extremely honest and setting the situation out. I think it's divided some. Some of my mates are saying that it starts to call a bit of a push away from the Premier League. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's a statement that shows intent and it shows the situation that we're in. I think to answer your question, Axel, about the management, I always find it really strange that we're talking about a financial period that ends on the 30th of June and not the end of the summer transfer window.
That's what I think should happen.
Why didn't it end on the 1st of September? Why is it a random date that's not related to the season or the transfer process? Why didn't those accounts end at the end of the summer transfer window when the start of the season happens? Well, essentially, even if you are, like we did with Brennan, got 4 matches worth of competitive advantage from him, why is it taken this draconian figure? Unless that draconian figure, and I'm talking out my arse, and someone suggested I'm a poor Steve Stone, that it may well be the time where the contracts end. If that's the case, then I understand it. But it hasn't obviously taken into consideration any spending a team may or may not do, or any income they get from any player that they sell during that period. And I think it has to, otherwise it's going to start that competitive element. Or maybe that's what they want. They want the situation where the breakaway risk of a Super League, Des, I think that's the point maybe you were alluding to. And then we'll try and keep certain teams happy. And that's maybe what they're trying to do. They flex their arm in certain things. They deal with the situation with Forest and Everton and let some of the rest of the league get away with certain things, perhaps over and above what they've done. So yeah.
Sorry, Glenn. I just want to make a point on what you said about the finances and the posting of accounts. Do you know, for me, I don't know if I'm talking out my arse either and making it too simplistic, but you post your accounts the week after the transfer window, and then what about you get a point deduction for every £10 million you overspend? It's simple.
Yeah.
Every 10 million is a point deduction. And then if you Man City you've spent hundreds of millions, you get dumped into the Championship or whatever. It's not difficult, is it? Everyone's talking about regulators and things. You can't pluck a number out of the air. This is why Forest fans have got a basis for an argument. I get Glenn's point there about when you post the accounts, but at the end of the day, the rules were the rules. They're not right. They're wrong. They're completely wrong, and I've said it numerous times already. But for me, it don't seem like I don't know if I'm thinking, and I know there's a lot more complexities to the situation, and there'll be loopholes, and I don't get it like other people get it. But based on the numbers and the fact that Everton are now kicking off, that Forest got less points deduction despite having a bigger difference, just make it easy. Just make it easy for yourself. 10 million, you overspend by 10 million, you get a point. 20 million, 2 points. You know, you overspend, you go crazy and spend 140 million over, you get 14-point deduction. It's that simple. And again, it comes back to that point I made that Axel was making about how we feel towards the owner. We would then have a barometer of how much they're gambling. But the Premier League have not made it easy for themselves, and they've made it easy for the fans to get behind Marinakis and the club because they made a complete hash of it. There's no rhyme or reason behind the fine, and I listen to sort of Molo, and he's got good arguments. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All
I
right,
can hear
so I listen to Molo and other people who've got good arguments in the way that the Premier League have not had to, but it all boils down to that two wrongs don't make a right again, does it? Do you know, there can be two wrongs in a situation. And again, until we sort of accept that we have done something wrong, the Premier League have got to completely clear their decks. What worries me now, and I'm going to shut up because I've had a lot to say so far already. What worries me now is the Premier League at the end of the season go, oh, clean slate, all the rules are all rubbish, but Forest and Everton are relegated. You know, Reading have had this and Bury have had this happen to them, but now we got a clean slate. All them things don't matter. We move on, and I think that's the point it's going to get to protect some of these big clubs, and that's the frightening thing because I do a bit on Talk TV with Saggers, and every week they're talking, saying, you know, there's almost got to be a clean slate now because you can't have a set of rules that nobody that aren't even rules, that there's no structure to. You just can't say you've got 6, you've got 4, you've got 7. You know, if you've overspent, you've overspent. Say 10-point deduction. I don't want a 10-point deduction, but you know what I mean. Everybody gets it's either a basis like what I said, or you've overspent or not. If you've overspent by £1, it's 10 points. If you've overspent by 150 million, it's 10 points. It would have made it easy for themselves because then everybody knows where they are. But they made a complete hash of it and gave the club, every club, Everton, Forest, Man City, whoever, they gave them an argument to come back, and that's why Forest have come back with that hard statement and says we don't accept it because it is nonsense. 9 points for liquidation and potentially throwing 8 points at us for spending a couple of quid extra and then getting it back a few months later. Do you know? I think there's things Forest could have done in the meantime. Don't get me wrong, to fulfil that. But it's just nonsense. And for me, everyone's talking regulators, this and that. It's not rocket science, is it? You break the rules. Do you know what? You know the consequence if you break the rules. If you know the consequence. If you go and stab someone, you know you're going to get sent to prison for 25 years. Do you know that's the standard punishment. And that's where the Premier League need to get to. So again, when clubs are it, the fans don't necessarily become the ones who just go, oh, it's okay, anything can happen at our club. You wouldn't accept it in any other walk of life, being shortchanged in such a way. You wouldn't go 100%. to the theatre and then walk off halfway through and go, we're not doing this. You demand your money back. And this is what infuriates me.
All the time. Right. So, actually, people as well, please do hit the like button if you can. It do a massive favour for me. And as well, donate to Des's run as well. It's in the top link as well. He's doing now coast to coast as well. Des, when is it, Des?
It's August, and believe me, I'm not always moaning. Only after the Liverpool game in here. No, it's a really positive thing for footprints. I'm winning coast to coast. It's killing me at the moment. I'm doing.
Well, good. You deserve it.
I'm doing 10 miles and did 20 miles on Sunday around Ashby. First time I ran that distance for a long time. It absolutely killed me. So no, it's all for footprints. I'm sure a lot of Forest fans, a lot of people in the Forest circle know about footprints and the work other people do for them. It's an amazing charity that help children with conductive educational needs, and really sort of develop kids. And me and Kay haven't got kids of our own, but we went to see what they do. And within 5 minutes, it was like, well, this is who we're doing it for then, isn't it? So really, really, really special. And a Nottingham-based charity as well. So it's not everything, but it's keeping it all in the Forest and Nottingham family.
100%. So make sure everyone goes to help there. Like I said, the link to the top as well. So please do. So Axel, like I said, do you understand now what Glenn does saying about the? Do you fully get it now? Silent, you're silent, Axel. Can't hear now. I can't hear you. Can you hear now? Nah, can't hear you, Axel. Come back out anyway if you can. Come in, come back out. Right. So let's say people. Put in the comments. Do you understand? Like I said, are you happy with the 4 points? Are you not? We had a show yesterday. It was 50-50 about it. And we're going through the comments as well. And this is for the members as well. Andrew, hope you're well. Take 4 points and no appeal for me and move on. Yeah, why not? Then another member to my channel. This is Paul. Do you think this group of players at Coach Sam have their fight on the way out? Or others have doubts? I'm afraid. I think some people do.
That's my worry, Paul. That's my worry of accepting the points. You know, we really struggling to get points on the board. So what says we're going to catch up with Luton again? And that's the concern.
As well, I'm going for Paul again. Liverpool. Why couldn't you take off points at the beginning of the start of the season? Yeah, that'd be a massive if, but it is what it is. Right, because I know I say Forest in the bottom three. We've got the point against Luton, but I've not got Des or Glenn's opinion from that game. And the way forward, we've got 9 games to go, so we'll try and get Axel back in a minute. So let me get Glenn's opinion about it. Like I said, what was your all around opinion about Saturday's game, and was you happy with the change that Nuno did?
Wow, it's a loaded question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of all of the points that we have dropped, the 2 that we dropped at Luton were some of the hardest for me to take, for arguably more than losing the point against Liverpool. The way that we played, the way that they are set up. I know Ross Barkley had a bit of a flashy bit, had 2 or 3 shots saved and off target over the space of about 10 minutes, and then they went relatively flat. And I think the situation where Wood's goal came at a really good time, half time, get that budge up, and then I could see what they want to do. I could see what they were trying to do in terms of setting up to not concede again and to hold that. And it started that we've had this situation, no doubt, and we so many times where we can't manage that situation, manage those games out and run out. I think the outlet or the lack of an outlet in terms of having someone available to play those balls forward, we look very, very flat. We look very like we're backed up and camped up. And then there's that one. How many goals are we conceded in the last 5 minutes of a game? That one chance that they had where they threw everything at those 3 corners in the space of those 8 minutes, and they had very little in the whole of the second half, and they knew to get a little bit ahead of steam, got the crowd behind them, got the fans up, and there was going to be some situation where we weren't, 2 players on a post, and neither of them could clear away. I don't see, when the football I watch, I don't see any of our players just getting that kind of, come on, let's focus, let's get that head on. And it's all a little bit kind of not really focused enough for me. And that was a real shame that we conceded at that point. And at that point, they looked like they're more likely to score again, didn't they? So in that situation, I'm like, wow, I'm glad the final whistle came, and there's 2 points lost there, but it could have been worse. And that's no way to end a Premier League game when you've had the majority of the chances. Again, don't take those chances. The majority of the ball in certain key positions, and then they close up shop. I think you're right, Dora. I heard what you were saying yesterday. A little bit too early. Now, there's obviously, and I always look the positive side. I was also in terms of the decisions that medics and coaches make. let's rest these players, let's rest these players, let's rest this player, let's change this situation. They've got 2 weeks off. It's not like they got a game in midweek. They got 2 weeks off. Let's push. And I'm hoping Wood in those 2 weeks will recover, because I can't see us starting a game against Palace like we did when we played them at their place and Murillo was running through, because we didn't really have that much up front, did we? We didn't really have that firepower that Tyrell wasn't playing. And it was a real situation where we're going to let them get away with it. And I hope that's not the situation against Palace. But the Luton game was really disappointing in that we didn't get something out of a hold on to it. A hold on to a 1-0 win there or a 2-1 win would have made a massive difference to this situation that we see ourselves in now. And that's as simple as I can make it in terms of answering your question. I think the decisions were made to make their substitution. I think they were wise to be made, but not at that point. And I think there's a situation, totally hear what you're saying, Paul. There's not that player at the back there. They're just going to get everybody together and go, okay, let's focus on this. Let's win that first ball. Let's win that second ball. Let's get that. Let's hit it out. Let's have a Langer in the centre circle, and let's bring a couple of players, a couple of defensive players out to mark him for the counter attack. Let's reduce some of that midfield threat, and let's mark those 5 or 6 big boys that they've got, those athletes they've got alongside Ross Barkley, who was one of the best players on the pitch other than that situation. So, yeah, really disappointing. It's done. It's done. And there's got to be some changes over the next 2 weeks. I've also heard about the set piece coach who might not necessarily
He's not involved. He's not been involved.
I think there's a lot of criticism being put to him. This phantom of a person that's figment of Cooper's backroom staff that isn't.
He's not involved. He's not involved. He's not been since Nuno's come in. He's not been involved at all. So people were blaming him for it. Like for me, I was blaming him, but he's not been involved, so can't blame him. So guys, like
2 points lost from the grasp of victory again, and that's something that we absolutely, with 9 games to go, we absolutely have to score more points in those 9 games than we have the 5 points in the last 9 games prior to that. We've got to get some more out of it, and that will only come from that collective spirit of getting everybody together and starting to reduce these lapses in concentration, lack of management, lack of leadership, whatever it might be. But yeah, it's got to turn around from this point. And yeah, had we got some more about that Luton game, I'd have felt far more optimistic about the situation we found ourselves in.
And Masters Des, I'm going to try to get involved as well. I think I spoke to you last week, Des, about Nuno, and it's another points dropped, not a win. Now we're bottom 3. Has your opinion changed on Nuno, or is it still the same?
No. Do you know what? It really frustrates me. Obviously, doing the things I do. Do you know? I've criticised Forest in the last couple of weeks, and it all my frustration has been aimed at game management. Do you know? There is 1 or 2 things I'm questioning Nuno on, but everybody seems to think because I was a Cooper fan, do you know, I want Nuno to fail. Do you know? I know there's mitigating circumstances why he's had it tough. Do you know? I know there was players away in Africa. I know there's been lots of injuries. Any Forest manager without Tyrell on you is struggling because he's such a powerhouse up front and makes such a difference in how we can play further up the pitch. Surprised me a little bit on Saturday with the way after that initial onslaught from Ross Barkley, who they couldn't pick up. You know, they should have saw that coming. They should have done something to try even putting a man on him if that's what it's going to take. Because let's be honest, he's Luton's only threat at times, and he was on Saturday. What really upsets me, and I can't help but hark back to that Liverpool game. Do you know, it doesn't matter how well you play sometimes. It doesn't matter how well you're playing a football match. If you give teams a goal, do you know, and I'm not having a go at the subs. You know, right, and most people will know now because I was begging for a ticket. First game I missed in 2.5 years at Luton on Saturday. I listened to it on the radio, and every time Paul Merson spoke, because he was doing it on Sky, I put it on so I could hear him as well, what he was saying. And at 70 minutes, he says Forest are comfortable.
comfortable.
They're
100%.
absolutely Luton. It's as far as to walk in this. And when they made the sub, I can't actually remember whether it was Steve Hodge or Brian Laws. I think it was Steve Hodge.
Steve Hodge. It was Steve Hodge.
Brian Laws, correct.
Oh, was it Brian Laws?
Right, look, they said Forest need to make this sub because they're going to get the kitchen sink thrown at them. So again, I don't think you can be too hard on Nuno. That it was predicting what was coming. I think the problem is it's just incompetence to keep concentration. The way that guy, and again, I don't want to make the same individual the scapegoat. The way that guy just wanders off the back of Sangare, and there's two of them, so it's not just his fault. Two men aren't doing their job. I don't know. I can't even tell who was supposed to be picking the other man up. Do you know,
I think it was Sangare. I think I'm not sure it was
was
Sangare.
Sangare, but there was two men,
Yeah.
three on the ball. Like
Felipe. Was it Felipe?
right?
Who's
But whoever it
yeah.
was, it just can't happen. It's game management. You see a game out. 21 points we've lost from winning positions. That is ridiculous. And for the criticism I've aimed at Forest, and I've aimed at Nuno to some degree. I think we've got a good enough team to be middle of the bottom half. I don't think we was ever going to pull up trees this year, but I thought we was going to stave off relegation, especially considering the way the bottom three, or the before we went into it, the bottom three as we knew it, especially the way they started. I thought we'd be comfortable. The squad is good enough. I don't think the personnel when Nuno's making subs and the tactics within games are bad. The one real frustration I've had with Nuno is the way we start games. You know, and again, it happened at Luton. We let them come on to us. We let them come on to us quickly and start running all over us. Thankfully, we got ourselves back into that game. What really upsets me, and everyone I spoke to has criticised me about this Liverpool game. Nobody's ever told me why we played well. Sometimes you can play poorly and get a point, or you can get a
Because we
win.
didn't lose badly, I think most people would probably say, Des. I think that's the only suggestion.
But nobody told me, nobody substantiated why we played well. You look at that game and you watch how many times Forest give the ball back to Liverpool. That's nothing to do with Liverpool's quality. Again, it goes back to that point. I can accept getting beat. I can accept not being good enough if that's where we are. I always bang on. The last time we was in the Premier League, we got 16 points. We were not good enough. It was simple as that. We were, but that team that got 16 points was not making the mistakes that this team's making. And when it comes to so many mistakes, like Glenn says, somebody's got to be out there, and Paul said, somebody's got to be leading it. And when it comes to so many mistakes, it boils down to commitment and desire. It is as simple as that. Because when we've got the ball, and when experienced professionals are supposed to be doing a job, and it's happening time and time again, it becomes insane. What's the comment? Repeating the same thing so many times is insanity. You know, and sort of to not be able to manage games and to keep giving teams the ball back. For me, Liverpool and Brighton was exactly the same performance. And I was actually what would I say, commentating to Glenn. You know, Glenn was getting my frustrations and thoughts as we was watching that game. But we were pointing out how many times we gave them the ball back. Do you know how many touches we had to have of the football before we lost it? Do you know, and the way Brighton, all they did was play it in front of them. I listened to a Brighton fan on the way back on the radio, and he said that they played rubbish. I thought, wow, if you played rubbish today, because all they did, but they did it brilliantly well. They managed the football match. They played the ball the way they were facing. They didn't pull up any trees. They didn't create loads and loads of chances. When they did get a chance to, or again, we gave them a goal, so they didn't need to create a chance. But it's every game, and you look back, Luton, 2 men lost at the back post. Brighton, a ball's up between the goalkeeper and the centre back. Liverpool, we didn't put it in the stand. Man United, you know, flapping at the near post. That's just the last 4 games. Aston Villa, the defining goal. You know, and I don't want to pile too much pressure on a young kid, but Omar Badadele gave the ball away. So in the last 5 games, we have made 5 individual errors. 5 individual errors that have been the difference. You know, that's crazy. That is absolutely insane. No football club can cope with that. No manager can legislate for that. So for whilst there is 1 or 2 questions around Nuno's tactics and how he starts a football match, you know, I can't get beyond that. I can't get beyond what the players are doing. You know, some of these are experienced pros as well. You know, and I just don't get it. I don't get why it keeps happening. Like I say, I've seen rubbish Forest teams. I've seen us under Megson, and we didn't make mistakes like that. You know, and they were some of the worst footballers I've ever seen in my life. But again, they still did a job, and this team, it didn't work for Cooper, and it isn't working for the new manager either. When he first came in, there was that little bounce, you know, and since then, it's just not been working because to keep making those mistakes, there's something wrong somewhere. There is something wrong because you would be focused, you will be switched on, you would think, I'm not doing this again. You know, they've got to this point in their careers, they've got to the Premier League by being consistent and good at what they do. And all of a sudden, they're in a Forest team where everything's just up in the air.
100%, 100%. Axel, I was. Can you hear me now, Axel?
Yeah, mate.
Okay. So I was just telling Glenn and Dad about Nuno. Are you, when he came to Forest, was you a fan, and what do you think of him so far?
First of all, I went out for 5 minutes, and when I came back, Des had totally lost it. It's so funny. He was so calm before. I liked Nuno from his previous work before he got to Forest. I knew him from Wolves, where he did a great job. But I think it's more to be with such a poor signing of players, and it's crazy how bad it is. Even after being signed over 30 players in a lapse of 2 years. But yeah, for me, every time I see Forest, the sensation I get from watching TV, I don't know if you guys get the same sensation when you're on the field. It's frail. It's like even if we're winning, we're always afraid that we might lose it or we're going to concede a goal immediately after the score. And I think we've lost so many games that we're on the reach of our hands to win. That I think that plays an important psychological strain on the players. Like you're winning, you get a draw, and then you start to think, oh no, it's all this over again. I don't know how many games we lost, 3-2. That must not be good on for the players' mentality.
7 or 8 times it's happened this season.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a lot of points drop. I think sometimes Nuno plays a little bit too safe. Whenever we're winning, he doesn't. Maybe he takes out the most creative players or the players that can make harm in order to just maintain the result, and that rarely happens. But yeah, I think something's not working in general, and it's not just the manager or the signings. For example, I think one of the few signings I'm happy with is Murillo. He's really good. I think he should get a loan on a championship side to get a bit more experience. Because
Murillo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit tough. That's a bit hard, isn't it?
No. I think he's really good, but he still makes cheeky mistakes because he's young. He's really good. I'm surprised how well he adapted to the Premier League after going directly from Brazilian league. Not now because it's the best we have, but
Yeah.
I think in the future he could get a good loan and turn out like a really good player. But yeah, I think that's the problem. Sometimes we're playing too safe and too afraid to play, because we are always like looking at the side of the table.
I understand the question about Murillo. Like I said, people need to recognise he's only been playing football for 2 years now. He didn't play much football in Brazil. He played 21 games, and he's come to Forest, and now
Yeah.
he's the best. He's one of the best defenders. So I get that point. What you're trying to say. I'm just going through comments as well. I think this is from Patch. Send him to bed, door. Yeah. He'll be going to bed soon. He's going back to bed soon, like everyone else is as well. James, I'm not speaking for ages, James. Hope you're well. My opinion there on Costa's most games we have win this first part, then we mess up, and that's the most of the games. Yeah, that's 100% as well. Hope you're well, my friend. Keith, I think really glad Des has flagged all that, up. I thought that would be howling in the wind for months. Glad find someone else to see things the same as me. Bloody hell, someone's agreeing with Des not changing. If you agree with that, please hit the like button as well, people. Last one is we have got over time, so it's been a great show, people. The main thing, like I said, we are in the bottom three. Can we stay up? We've got 9 games to go, and it's easy to say that we've got Burnley, Sheffield United, Everton, Palace at home, but it's still tough games. And to the point what Des says, Brighton wasn't good, we still lost. Luton wasn't excellent, and we're drawn. And people keep saying that these points are easy. They're not easy. So I'm going to ask the panel, can we stay up? I'm going to go with you, Glenn, first. Can Forest stay up?
Yeah. If they get more out of the last 9 games than we got in the previous 9 games, we make a concerted effort to avoid the issues. I think Axel's point's absolutely right. We're not conceding goals just after scoring them anymore. We're conceding goals at points where we should be holding on but aren't. So if a situation where you can hold on to a bit more leadership, a bit more tactical nous in terms of making those substitutions at the right time and keeping everybody switched on right through to the final whistle, I think we'll get more out of it. But it's a mentality thing. It's a leadership thing. I agree with one of the comments, not necessarily a talent thing. It's about getting those points on the board and eking through, identifying games where we can really put teams to the sword, points where we can play, and holding off for as much as we can in that final few games. I don't want to be in a situation, Dor, where I'm hoping that other teams around us underperform or lose points. I think it's in our hands now. And those 9 games, we've got to try and get as many out of them as possible. 27 available. I don't think we'll get any more than 15. 9, 10, 11 is ideal. I think we can get more like that. I think situation where I agree with Molo yesterday. We can get double figures numbers over those 27 games. I think we'll be okay. I'm just hoping that others around us don't have a better end of the season than we've got.
Axel, can Forest stay up? Yes or no?
Yes, we will, Mike. Yes, we will. And this is my prediction. We will stay up because of goal difference. That's my prediction.
David from Australia said exactly the same thing. So the Forest fans around the world, they say the same thing over and over again. But
let's hope I'm wrong. But yeah, we have tough games ahead. So I think, like Len said, I think like 14, 13 points would be like a good amount of points, I think, considering the games like that.
People in the chat, before I get to theirs, can we stay up? Yes or no, input Y or N. So people in the chat, there's 72 people in. If you can, if you're on Facebook as well, put Y or N. Can we stay up? I've done a poll as well. Can Forest stay up? Yes, 81 says yes. 19% says no. So if you can, put Y for yes, N for no. Last but not least, can we stay up?
We can stay up, but that doesn't necessarily mean we are going to stay up. And again, I'm not being negative because I think Forest have got the ability to win 3 football matches, and I think when you look at the fixtures, there is 3 more than winnable football matches within that set, and I think they've got the ability to do that. I'm not just going to say Forest are going to stay up because I'm a Forest fan. I've watched it for too long, Dor. I've watched it for too long. And I've just gone back through the last 5 games of football and we have given the game away. We've given the game away.
Yes.
So if that doesn't stop, they're going down. It's simple as that. People keep saying to me, we're going to go to Burnley and Sheffield United and win. Why? We didn't do it at Luton and we played well. You know, we played better than Luton and didn't win. And if they cut those mistakes out, you know, if what we all want in an ideal world now with this whole FFP thing, and it's not necessarily going to happen. It could just happen. We want them to galvanise, you know. I think Forrest put a picture out today saying we're in it together, trying to create that us and them mentality a little bit, isn't it? The Billy Davis days. You know, everybody hates us. You know, nobody likes us. That kind of thing. And I think the best scenario is that somehow we start whipping up this crescendo of we're in this dogfight, you know, and we're all in it together, and we get out of it. But again, it comes down to player commitment and desire and concentration, because on ability we can stay up. What I do want to see from Nuno is for us to start on the front foot, because to stay up we're going to have to win football matches now, because everyone's saying it's in our own hands. It's actually not, because there's teams above us who we can't catch, even if we beat them. So it's not going to happen. But if Luton and Everton win every game, we're not going to catch them, are we?
No.
So it's not in our own hands. But we'd only need to win 3 games in my mind, and perhaps pick up a point. Like Glenn says, double figures keeps us up, because Luton aren't going to start winning lots of football matches all of a sudden. But that's the reality. Forest aren't either. We've not won football matches since Christmas, and they was 2 massive results. So I think, do you know what, I didn't think we'd stay up, and I'm starting to think we will. But I think they've got to cut out those mistakes. And for me, we've got to start football matches better, because if you're giving teams a goal head start and then you're getting back into it and then you're giving them a goal, you know, you've just got no chance, have you? And so you don't stay up by trying not to lose. You stop up by trying to win football matches. And that's why Luton are where they are. At the end of last season, I keep saying this on all sorts of things. We were Luton. Everybody, we were the darlings of the media. You know, everyone loved Steve Cooper. Everyone loved what Forest was all about. We hit on this formation, and Danilo playing off the back of Gibbs White and him setting up Tyro, and everyone loved it. And we finished really, really well. And that's because we tried to win football matches. Cooper realised that he couldn't go gung-ho, but then there was a point where he had to go gung-ho. And ultimately we're winning games 4-2, 4-3, 3-1, whatever it was at the end. And I think we've got to get into that mindset now, because we have got the attacking ability. You've got to get more from Elanga and Callum Hudson-Odoi. They're not being utilised enough for their talents. This is why Luton and Ross Barkley are doing well. He doesn't play well every game, but when Luton win, Ross Barkley's had a stormer. It might be once every 5 games, but this is why people are noticing. We don't need Hudson and Odoi and Elanga to be on it week in, week out, but we need to give them the chance to be taking the game to the opposition, playing high up the pitch and going for it. And if we do that, they've got every chance of staying up.
100%, 100%. Right, it's been a great show. We've just gone over the hour, but like I said, it's been a great show. I want to appreciate everyone that's coming to the chance. I appreciate Axel. I don't care about Colonel Des, but it's this guy, absolutely legend. What time is it now, Axel?
4:15.
Oh, it's 4:15 in the morning, people. Please give some social love. Not show love to Des and Glenn as well. But not much to Des, because there's so much love for Des. But please show some love to Axel as well, because like I said, I do appreciate for him coming so early in the morning. He wants to come on the chat. And I thought, come on, let's get him on. But I didn't know it was 3 o'clock in the morning. So please show some love to Axel. He's in Thailand, people. So if anyone's been in Thailand, get them on. Follow him on Instagram as well. Follow everyone on socials as well. Please, I have put a link on Instagram as well. But it's been a pleasure, Axel, and I'll definitely get you back on my show as well, my friend.
Nah, thanks, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Nice to see you, Glenn, again.
You too, man.
And yeah, until
Yeah.
we stay up.
Yeah, I just said. I love how you said Glenn, but not Des. Is that a bit of a cheat shot?
Nah.
Good lad.
Door loves throwing people under the bus, Axel.
I'll send you some merch, Axel, for saying that. Just for that comment.
No,
But
I said it because I've been in with Glenn in a previous show. I've never been with Des.
There you go.
yeah, okay. Next time we'll have Des on. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Right, it's been a pleasure, people. Like I said, before we do go, like I said, if you haven't supported Des with a charity, like his link is in the top, coast to coast. Des is doing a run, like he's raised quite a lot of money as well. So, if you can, people, before you do go, click on the link on top. So Des is doing something fantastic for our charity as well. So please support Des. I am doing some content as well. We've not mentioned players like Rayo and Ribeiro, but I've got a video coming out in the morning. But if you are a member to my channel, the video is out for the members channel, but it's out in the morning for all people to watch. So go watch that after show. But like, it's been a great show, people. I'll be doing more videos while we're doing international duty as well. But yeah, it's been a great show. I appreciate Glenn for taking your time. Des, get back running. I think you got to do another 10 mile as well. And as well, I do appreciate it. People in the chat, do you want Des to run? Yes or no? Another 10 mile if you could, because I think Kay will love that. Just take don't take the dog. Leave Stanley to rest. Just take a run for yourself as well. But it's been a pleasure, people. If you are rewatching this, if anything that you agree or disagree with the panel, please get in the comments and I will get back to you. It's been a great show. Thank you for everyone. And as well, Eve, I forgot, Eve, I will be doing more videos as well, live shows as well. So Eve, that's for you, Eve. I will be doing more shows. It's been a pleasure. Can we stay up, people? 9 games to go. I believe we can, but we've got to prove it on the pitch. Peace and love, people. Up the Forest.